There's a song in there. Race cats, doom doo doo doom doo doo doom. Race
Exactly.
cats, doom doo doom doom doo doom doom.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Optimistic Underdog podcast, where we talk official sports news with unofficial sports people. Today, we are recording our Let's Learn series, and today's subject is F1 racing. So I am super excited. I'm here with my two very special guests, and over here, I have one of my favorite people in the entire world, Miss Jessie. What is up? How are you doing?
Oh, that's me. I'm good. I'm excited to learn cars. I
I'm
actually
so
thought we were talking about race cats, so I'm in for a world of world of knowledge here.
I
We
may
still
have made a
might.
typo. Yeah. I may have made a typo and said race cats, not race cars, and that's how I got her here. But hey, sometimes it's what you just need to do. It's fine. It's fine. We're still gonna have a good time. And of course, the man with all the knowledge, he was here for our very first episode of Optimistic Underdog, and he's going to be teaching us about F1 today. And I'm very, very excited to learn more about it. That is the one, the only, Vitz Patel. Vitz, what is up?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm so excited. I know that we talked about this before. We talked about this on the episode. I don't know very much about F1 except the cars go real fast. I have a little bit of knowledge about some NASCAR stuff. I used to watch some of that a long time ago. And I'm actually going to some races this year, maybe if things
That's
are
gonna be
kind of
cool.
normal in a few far away months, maybe, possibly.
Yep.
We'll see how that goes.
Mhm.
But potentially maybe I'll get to see some cars go fast this year. And I have been to one race and I don't remember what it is. So maybe you can help me with that today. So we'll see
Sure.
how that all goes. But let's hit into it. So, Vitz, let's just start with something basic. What is F1 racing?
So, Formula One races is 23 races around the globe, 20 drivers, 10 teams, and one world champion. So, single-seater race cars, and essentially we go all around the world to 5 of the 6 continents, and yeah, we just see whoever the heck's the fastest on the day.
Wow. 5 out of 6 continents. So I'm guessing we skip over Antarctica, right? Is that the one we're not
We
hitting
do.
on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah, the penguins would be really looking forward to this.
I mean,
There you go.
I think that can make for some really pretty scenery. I've seen some photos from some of these races, and they're absolutely gorgeous. As someone who does photography, I think that'd be a lot of fun. But I could see how that could be a little difficult racing down there, I guess. So
Just a little bit.
Be fun though.
it would be fun. I mean, I know
spike tires.
we've seen some drifting cars go around some icy bends, and hey,
There you
that
go.
could be fun doing some F1 stuff down in Antarctica. Sure.
Yeah. Great stuff.
So 10 teams then. So 2 guys
Yeah.
per team, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so 2 guys per team. So our teams run as Mercedes-AMG Petronas. We have the world famous Ferrari, who everybody's heard of. We have Red Bull, who own 2 teams. So they have Red Bull Racing, and then they have a sister brand called AlphaTauri, which is based on their fashion label, which hasn't really got off the ground, but they're trying real hard to do. We have the British outfits McLaren. Aston Martin have joined this year, which is very good. So they've got a very pretty green car. The French are here with Alpine, who are technically Renault, but everybody calls them Alpine these days. And then we have the brand that every gear and petrol head has to love by law, Alfa Romeo. So they've got a team here as well. And we have the Williams outfit, who are owned by Dalton investors at the moment. And we have the all-American outfit, which is not quite American, but the American outfit no less, known as Haas. So those are the teams who we have on board.
I recognize some of those names. I'm doing good so far.
There you go. Yeah,
I know. So I'm like, so a few of you know that I buy cars. That's my job. So I know those names. Now, I don't typically get to spend that kind of money on cars at my job. But I mean, I did buy an Alpha the other day, which
You
was
did.
super exciting. That was fun. I actually got another one. That was like one of the only things I could buy this week was an Alfa Romeo, which is a little nerve-wracking, but still super exciting because it was pretty red. And I always love, they have the best names for
They're
their
so
cars.
pretty.
Alfa Rosso, I love it. It's just, come on, how can you not? And the interiors, they have some of the best interiors on those cars. And I mean, granted, at least over here, we're just like, oh, it's just a fancy Chrysler interior. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're probably right. But hey, they have this really pretty, I love one of my favorite Alvas I think I've seen was the black with the red interior. It's just, I mean,
Yes.
it's not something you see typically, but man, it is a sharp looking car and I just love it.
Riviera Special. Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. And
yep,
because it's engineered by a German, all the buttons work. So that's also
exactly.
good.
Exactly. I am a huge fan of German cars already. Just like give me the Volkswagens, give me the Mercedes. I love them all. But yes, the German engineering on cars is perfect.
There
So
we go. But yeah, so in terms of the big names, what we have in the sport, so some people you may have heard of, Lewis Hamilton. So he is our defending champion. He is 7 times a world champion. So he is at the top of his game at the moment. Yeah, so as I said, he's won statistically, he's the most winningest driver. I'm not sure if that's a word, but we're going to go with it anyway. So yeah, he's won more than anyone, scored more pole positions than anyone, but he's now tied on world championships with the great Michael Schumacher, who you may or may not have heard of. But so this year, he's going for title number 8, which will make him undoubtedly the greatest of all time. And everybody's really happy to see that happen because he's a great man. And he's now using his platform to leverage social rights. So he's a big follower of the Black Lives Matter movement and with sustainability and eco-activism. So he's even turned vegan these days. So he's doing everything he can to, make this world a better place.
that's pretty awesome. You don't hear about that in sports too often, hearing someone take all of those kinds of very good stands on things. Sounds like a good guy.
Absolutely. And, every time he wins a race, he's up there on top at the podium doing the, Black Lives Matter salute. And yeah, it's powerful stuff. Definitely.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he's got some challenges this year. So we have the young hotshot Max Verstappen, who drives for Red Bull. So he is the son of a former F1 driver. And he's blindingly quick, but he's a young'un, so he's still making some rookie mistakes. And yeah, he's got a bit of a temper to him. So he's had a couple of fights as well. So there's a little bit of NASCAR in F1. We can say that.
I've seen them. I always think it's funny. So we all know that I'm a hockey fan. So we've got fights in hockey, but I've seen fights in racing before, which it just kind of blows my mind when you see, like, you get these accidents and you see guys jumping out of cars, start fighting each other. I'm like, this doesn't seem like the right time to be fighting somebody. There's
Rule number 1 is
driving.
rule number 1: we get into a fight, never aim for the crash helmet because those will hurt your hands.
Yeah.
No one seems to get that.
No. Oh, my fingers. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Nope. Thanks,
Go.
anyways.
So yeah, he's joined along with Checo Perez. So he's an exciting young Mexican who's getting a big break within the top 3 teams. And he took his first win last year. Everybody loves him. There wasn't a dryer in the house when he took the win in Bahrain last year. So yeah, all good stuff. For Ferrari, we're just going to go into 10 now. So we have the 2 Charles. So we have Charles Leclerc, the Monegasque driver, and he's joined this year by Carlos Sainz. 2 very exciting young drivers. Ferrari's in a rebuilding phase at the moment. So a couple of years ago, they got caught for cheating. They were essentially they had like a special engine, which you weren't allowed to have. And nobody in F1 is allowed to say that we're cheating for legal reasons. So they just said, when they're having their problems, it's one of these. But yeah, it's all good. McLaren, we have Aussie favorite Daniel Ricciardo. He's king of the bants. He has bants for days, and he's alongside Lando Norris, who is a young Twitch streamer who anytime he's not racing his cars, he's streaming on Twitch. And
that's funny.
He's doing good. So to go back to Charles Leclerc, he endeared himself to a lot of fans last year. So everybody took to streaming Twitch when the season was delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So he's there, he's streaming on Twitch, he's playing his racing games. His girlfriend is locked outside of his apartment. She's ringing his phone, nothing, not picking up. So she has to subscribe to his Twitch channel to post a message saying, "Can you let me in?"
God.
And he's scrambling to get his headset off and run to the door.
That's hilarious. I mean,
That's
she
amazing.
probably should have been sub to his channel anyways. Come on, support him. But that's hysterical. Oh my gosh. That's great. Patreon shoutouts for the month of April are Mr. Mac 92, Kessel Wings, and Caesar Towers. Thank you guys so much for pledging.
Thank you.
We love you. Yeah, he's brilliant. Aston Martin, so they have taken over a racing team called Racing Point. So essentially, they've just repainted their cars. They are led by a Canadian billionaire called Lawrence Stroll, who these days is looking like Count Dooku from Star Wars. He's got a big white bushy beard. He's like Christopher Lee's back. It's amazing. So being a Canadian billionaire, he's got his son Lawrence in one of the two seats. And alongside him, they've put 4-time champion Sebastian Vettel there. So he's out there and he's looking to rebuild his career. He had a tricky time of it at Ferrari. He wasn't feeling the love. And he kind of went there to kind of emulate Michael Schumacher, but couldn't get it done against the Mercedes. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he's doing. Now, we've got a few new people on the grid this year. So I won't go through everyone, but one of the ones I want to talk about is a Japanese driver called Yuki Tsunoda. Now, the Japanese love their drivers. And anytime they go to Japan, the stands will be packed with Yuki Tsunoda flags and banners and what have you. My favorite thing about Yuki Tsunoda is we stand a short king here. And Jesse, would you like to have a guess at how short or tall Yuki Tsunoda is?
Okay, taller or shorter than me?
Shorter.
Shorter. Let's go 4'6".
Okay, he's a little bit taller there. He's 5'2".
Okay, I was gonna say 5. So he's only just shorter than me.
Yes, he's only just. But yeah, in a world where most of his peers are 5'11", 6'2", 6'3", that kind of thing. Yeah, he's coming out and he's 5'2". It's his first F1 season, and yeah, but he's all about the banter as well. So he was interviewed quite recently to say, what are your ambitions for the 2021 season? Do you want to score some points? Do you want to place on the podium? And says, look, this year I just want to grow. I just want to be tall. That's what he said. And it's like, that's my man right there. That's my man.
He has a new fan in me as well.
Absolutely.
There you go. Yuki Tsunoda.
Own it. Absolutely own that. That's great.
But it's not just a sport for the young guys. So we have a returning champion in Fernando Alonso. So he is pushing on 40 years old now. And this year he'll be racing with a titanium plate in his jaw. So in preseason training, he was out riding his bicycle, trying to get fit. He got run over, had a bit of surgery, and yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, but he's all good. He's recovered. He was testing today. They're racing around Bahrain in Sakhir in Al Tribesman's backyard, and it's all good.
Shout out to Al Tribesman. Yes, they are racing. He said it was so windy there yesterday, and we were looking at some of the pictures from the race, and the sand kicking up everywhere. It's incredible that they can even.
It's like Tatooine out there.
Incredible that they can see just with how much of the sand is just kicking up everywhere, and in that with they're not very big cars, and they just it's like it's incredible. You got to imagine that with that much sand kicking up. I know that even here you get a lot of damage with windshields and paint and stuff, just when you get a lot of the dirt and dust kick up and things like that on cars like that. I'm sure it's got to take some sort of damage and hurt a bit.
Yeah, so all the cars are made from carbon fiber, so they can withstand that. Sure that the paint gets chipped and whatnot, and then the visors that the drivers wear, they're like more than bulletproof. I forget what the actual term is, but yeah, obviously when you're going at like 200 odd miles an hour, if you've got a bit of debris there, then yeah, it needs to withstand to that. But it's all good fun. Yeah, the cars are much bigger now than they used to be, but yeah, they're still relatively small compared to like a sedan or something like that.
Yeah, that's still that I can't even imagine driving, because it's open, right? They're like
absolutely that's the point. Yeah, so back in the day, back in the 1950s when this thing got started, it was safer to be thrown out of the car when you have a crash. Just because you're surrounded by petrol and all the rest of it, so right, nope, we don't need seatbelts. Just get straight out of the car. But yeah, the whole point of Formula One is that it's open face. Yeah, and then on that, you have to see the new Netflix Drive to Survive. Not to be close to Survive, that's a new series by Robin GL, our very good friend there. Yeah, so they're entering season 3. And yeah, so obviously been a Netflix show. They kind of dramatize a few bits and pieces just to make it more entertaining for television. But yeah, it's a very, very good insight into that.
That's awesome.
That
It's
sounds
definitely
cool.
something that I've had on my watch list. Just haven't gotten a chance to watch yet because keeping up with uh the reviews for the
Because they're
OU
all on
pod.
there. Yeah.
The reviews for the OU pod for New Girl in Review. Almost done with season 1. But yeah, after we're done with that, hopefully I'll have a chance to actually catch up on some other cool shows that have been out like that, because there's a lot of really cool stuff that's been out there. And I know that even like the movie Ford and Ferrari, that's been something that I've wanted to check out, that's got to do with some racing and stuff. And like I said, so there's a track over here that's not too far from me, the Mid Ohio track.
Yes.
So obviously this is not an F1 track. This is
no. So they run IndyCar and sports cars there. So for the IMSA WeatherCheck Sports Car Championship, the one that we covered in Daytona 24 Hours on the first episode of Optimistic Underdogs.
that one. So
Yeah.
like I said, there are so many different types of racing. It's so hard to keep them all straight. But I know. So I got to watch that race a few years ago there, and that was actually way more interesting than I thought it was going to be. And there was a lot more to do than I thought there was going to be as well.
Yep.
And I'm hoping, like I said, I have tickets because I'm lucky enough to, the company I work for is owned by an owner of some of the race car teams. Have a chance to hopefully go to the Indy race this year, where the Indianapolis 500 is held. Obviously not that race, but one of the other races that's held that we would get to go see, the NASCAR race, and whatever race is held the day before that, which I can't remember what it's called.
No, so it'll be the Brickyard 400 is what you'll go to.
Brickyard, yes, because that is a very big. Like I said, I can't keep them all straight. This is why I'm so glad.
But I'm glad that Fitz can.
I know, exactly. That's
go.
why I'm like, Fitz, I'm going to a race. This is what it is. Can you tell me which one it is? And he's like, absolutely, I can tell you. And this is why he is the one.
The scary thing is, what is all the stuff that I'm supposed to know about, but I don't know about because my head's full of race car knowledge? That's the thing to consider.
Exactly.
That's how I feel with hockey. So don't worry, I understand. Trust me.
There you go.
But so I knew Brickyard is a big deal. That's a huge race over here. I mean, it's a big deal everywhere. And I'm very excited just to be able to hopefully be able to take a part of that, in a couple months.
Absolutely, go there, soak up the atmosphere. So Fernando Alonso, who we were speaking about earlier, so he took a few years off F1 because he couldn't find a competitive ride, and he competed in 3 Indy 500s, or at least he tried to. He qualified for 1 and then hadn't qualified for the other 2. But yeah, so he was there. I want to win the Le Mans 24 Hours, which is the big race over in France. So he's done that a couple of times, and he wants to win the Indy 500. And between the Indy 500, the Monaco Grand Prix, and Le Mans 24 Hours, that's known as the Triple Crown with motorsport. So if you do that, you're the best of the best of the best. And to date, there's only been one driver who's done that. And he was a driver back in the 60s and 70s called Graham Hill. And Alonso wants to emulate that. So he will go back to Indy and try and get that done. But Indy's a whole different kettle of fish. So we're going at 230 miles an hour. Again, still turning left, but you got to do that for like 4 hours. And it's a lot.
There's always the joke of watching NASCAR races, and he's making another left turn. He's making another left turn. Can't remember where that joke's from, but it's pretty funny. Because hey, I mean, I know, like I said, there was a time that I was very into NASCAR, watching the races every Sunday with a friend of mine, and I was a big Casey Kane fan. And yes, he was always making another left-hand turn. But there was there's quite a list of some of the more notable tracks here in the States that I've always wanted to go to. Poconos obviously is a big one. Indy, the Indy track is huge. So being able to have a chance to maybe go there would be fantastic. But some of these racetracks just across the world that you see, like I said, I've looked at some of these pictures that we've talked about for these F1 races. They're absolutely beautiful.
We go to some amazing spots in the world. So the nearest track to you would be Austin at the Circuit of the Americas. So I think we're set to go there in the fall of this year. And then for you, Jesse, you have a couple. So you have the Nürburgring and you have the Hockenheimring. So the Hockenheimring was always home for Michael Schumacher, and the whole stands would be decked out in red because everybody dressed in their Ferrari gear, and it was a scene. It was amazing. I've been lucky enough to go to a few races here in the UK at Silverstone. So they dub it the home of British motorsport. And so that's where the first ever Formula One Grand Prix was held. And then, I was lucky enough to go to Singapore as well, which is a night race. And it's a whole different level than a night race. So the track is still lit. So the cars don't have headlights or taillights, that kind of thing. So it takes a little bit more electricity, but it's a whole different event, and it's awesome.
That's cool. That's really cool.
That does sound awesome, and I'm sure Singapore is absolutely gorgeous too. It just sounds like a blast. And like I said, the atmosphere at a race was something I didn't expect. Being someone who's really not into racing, I have a picture of me with some guys dressed up in Star Wars gear. Like there's a guy dressed up like Darth Vader and some stormtroopers and Chewbacca. I don't know why those are the ones that they picked, but I have that picture of me with those guys dressed up. I mean, and that was a hot summer's day, so I don't understand how they were dressed up like that. I give them so much credit. But I ran into that group of folks at a race car track, like an actual like race car track.
It takes all sorts. So George Lucas is a huge F1 fan, so you can usually see him knocking around at the Monaco Grand Prix. And then for the noises that he did, we're gonna get quite nerdy here. So for the noises he did for the pod races, actually F1 car sounds. They are 3.5 liter V10 engines, and obviously they modulate them to make them sound more spacey. But yeah, he was like, I want to put some F1 noises in here. Let's go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't totally surprise me knowing that.
Yes.
That's not
now this is pod racing, is what we say.
Exactly. That's kind of funny. That's awesome. I never knew that, and that is super cool, and that actually makes a lot of sense. Very cool.
Yeah, so like a place like Monaco, you'll always find the rich and the famous and the so-called celebrities trying to get all the free canapes and champagne that you can get there. But sadly, that's racing.
It's racing.
So we'll see you there next year, right, Fitz?
Oh, I wish.
For 2022, get Viz to Monaco.
There we go. Only if I can bring you guys along.
Oh,
that's my rider.
I have no idea where that is, but we're going. Let's go. Because I need to get on that passport thing, huh?
There we go. Yeah.
So what else? Tell us something else super cool about F1. I want to know more things.
We have the most efficient engines in the world. So all of the cars are hybrids. They are 1.6 liter turbocharged units. And in terms of the thermal efficiency, so how much heat they're producing, they are the most efficient cars in the world. So obviously they're still burning petrol, but what they're looking to do now is to become a carbon neutral sport. So they're looking to use biodegradable fuels and kind of synthetic fuels. So they're burning no carbons whatsoever. So then obviously for people like Lewis Hamilton, there's a bit of a dichotomy in terms of, right, we're doing so much to save the environment and save the planet, yet we're burning petrol to go around these racetracks again and again, round and round in circles kind of thing. So if we can move to that, that would help quite a lot. Obviously, all the cars are hybrid, but the teams need to do a better job at kind of marketing that to say, hey, we're using 1/3 or 2/3 less fuel than we were using 10 years ago, that kind of thing. And we're going even faster. So that's something they need to be shouting about. They do that better in other sports, say in sports car races at Le Mans. But that's one of the cool things here. So we've got a few rule changes for next year coming in. So one of the big things that people like me and the other nerds complain about is that F1 racing isn't close. So the cars can't follow each other, and everybody's surprised when there's no overtaking, when on a Saturday you do qualifying and you put the cars in the fastest order, and then you send them to race on Sunday. It's like, well, no one can pass. So what they're doing next year is there's a whole raft of new rule changes coming in to change the way the cars are built. So we're taking away downforce in the traditional sense, which obviously gives you more grip. And we're doing that so cars can follow each other a bit more closely and we can get some more exciting races. So an F1 car by itself is exciting in itself, but it's kind of over these past couple of years, you know that Lewis is going to win because he's in the best car. He's starting at the front of the grid, happy days kind of thing. But if we can get a bit of challenge and then he still wins, even better. So that's the thing that we're looking forward to most there's some interesting places we're going this year. So F1 are doing this campaign to say we're all inclusive and we race as one, and there's a hashtag with a rainbow on it, and it's all yay for pride and acceptance and all that jazz. And then we're going to Saudi Arabia this year, which smacks us a bit odd. But we have a Saudi sponsor that follows the F1 paddock all around the place. And at the Haas team, we have a Russian who shouldn't be in the car because he's a terrible human being, but we won't dwell on that for too much. And Gene Haas, who's the owner, who's trying to sell to the Russians and get that going. But in the other car, we have Mick Schumacher, who is Michael's son. And Michael sadly was involved with a skiing accident many number of years ago and has kind of been in a comatose state ever since. But it is so great to see his son there, and his son has most of his mannerisms. And he's a good egg, and I can't wait to see him do wonderful things. The red carpet, well, at Ferrari, all the carpets are red, but the red carpet at Ferrari is being rolled out for him whenever he's ready to step up into the big team.
That's awesome.
That's sweet.
Yeah, Schumacher. I mean, I have a couple pieces of Ferrari clothing and stuff just because obviously I'm a car nerd a bit, and I know that name from that stuff, and it's cool to see him stepping up because I mean I think
he was in the Cars movie, Erica. He was in the Cars movie. He's that big a deal.
Movie. It's just cool. It's so cool. And it's okay. So speaking, I just want to point out to the Cars movie because I love just how much they actually pull from real world racing and things like that and put it into those kinds of movies. Because it is really cool how true to form they do stick. Like I know we all make fun of those goofy animated films, but like just look at like I know I don't remember a lot of names because it's been years. My kid doesn't watch those movies very often anymore. But like the little cars that are doing, oh my goodness, what's his name?
Changes?
No, not the tire changes, but I think maybe it might be the tire changes. But they look like the little smart cars, and I can't think of the name of them at the top of my head, and it's going to drive me crazy. But they just look like the little international cars, the little Fiats. There we go. And I just love them.
Yeah, the Cinquecentos. That's it, the 500s.
There we go. Thank you. But just like all like, and I love it with the white tires and just everything from that movie. It's just. It warms my little car nerd heart. Like it really fills that part of my life. The car side of me that I need because it's just so cute how they really did pull all of that stuff into that movie, and just even all the way down to Mater and the tow truck part and just all of it. I love it. It's so fantastic.
To be fair, like Lewis Hamilton has appeared in the second movie. Jeff Gordon of NASCAR Hall of Fame fame, he was in the second movie as well. So yeah, there are a few famous faces who want to be in there.
They had the even the race car announcer guys. They're
from NASCAR. They're the ones that go boogity boogity boogity. Let's go racing at the start of it.
That's amazing.
I'm so bad with remembering names, and like I said, it's been forever since I've actually watched a NASCAR race that I'm never going to be able to remember his name. But yeah, that is an actual guy who says that at the beginning of NASCAR races, and it's hilarious.
Jesse, it's a new Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
It really is.
I love it. I'm in. I'm all in.
I'm gonna have to remember his name. I gotta look. See, all I had to do was type in Boogity, and it pulls up the rest of the thing for me. Gerald Waltrip. There we go.
That's it.
Waltrip. Yeah, like those guys are actually in the movie, and it's fantastic because it really does. It brings it all like into perspective, and it's just cool having those voices in that movie. It's really awesome.
No, absolutely. So as I said, so the F1 boys, they are testing.
The rest of them, I mean.
Cars 3 wasn't that bad. I've gone back to watch Cars 3, and yeah, it's got a lot of heart.
Okay.
We will say that. So the F1 boys, they're testing in Bahrain at the moment. So they're doing a 3-day test. So they've got 23 races coming up, but they're only allowed to do 3 days of actual practice beforehand. So a bunch of new teams, they've got different engines, and they need to make sure they work. So the reigning champions Mercedes, who Lewis Hamilton drives for, they had a shocking day yesterday. So their gearbox broke 6 laps in, and then spent most of the morning having to change that. Lewis got to do a handful of laps in the afternoon session. So they're really going out on the back foot. So you want to make sure, obviously, when you're breaking a new car to see what works and what doesn't. And then there's only a couple of weeks before the actual season gets underway in Bahrain. So we were going to go to Australia to begin with, but that race has been moved back because of the pandemic that's going on, as you can imagine, kind of thing. So, but yeah, it's a stressy time for the boys there, and hopefully it won't just be boys racing there in the future. So there's some really exciting programs going along to get women and other people racing as well. And so Jamie Chadwick, who is a British race car driver, she has won the Formula W series, and she is a test driver for one of the Williams, one for the team. So she drives for Williams at the moment, and hopefully she'll get herself a race seat and we can see some representation in there.
That would be awesome. I mean, I was telling you a few days ago that when I was 10, I desperately wanted to be a race car driver, and I was laughed at. And so that dream died.
Oh, yeah. So it's terrible when those things happen. But yeah, there are more grassroots things for everybody to do, kind of thing. So even for myself, for an Indian person, like there was no route into racing, but in India itself, we've got an F1 grade track that's not been used for some time, but yeah. And now, we've got Indian drivers, and we've had Indian drivers like Karun Chandok, we've had Noreen Karthikeyan, and they've gone on to do some great stuff outside of F1 as well. So yes, it's becoming more inclusive. And Lewis Hamilton's a big proponent of that, of being a mixed race person who has, become the face of F1 and showing kids that no matter where you come from, you can do that too.
That is really awesome. I love seeing that. I love seeing that in F1, honestly. Like, I mean, obviously here we have Danica Patrick, who stepped into NASCAR a bit.
She did. She came from Indy, didn't she? Yeah. So she won one Indy race in Japan, and then stepped up to do NASCAR with. I remember her car was green, but I'm not sure which team she was racing with.
I don't know. I know she
was with the GoDaddy team. That was it.
GoDaddy team, I believe. Yeah. And so I know because she did a lot of those commercials, but I don't know that she actually ever won any races with NASCAR.
She did not.
But yeah, I know she hadn't had much success in the NASCAR series. But it was nice to see her actually make it to a team. I do believe I feel like there was another female NASCAR driver or someone else who was at least trying to get into NASCAR.
So you see a lot of it within sports cars. So with the prototype racing of those who race at Daytona and then go to Le Mans, so there have been all female teams, which have been wonderful to see. And hopefully we'll get to see a lot more of those. And these drivers are there because they are quick, not just because, to tick a representation box. And it's brilliant to see. And it's not like, sure, there's still some stigma about it. And you'll always get the naysayers who say, it needs to be a man's sport because you need to be strong to drive a race car. Heck no, women are strong and they can pedal just as quick as the boys. Let's go.
Just want to point out that I was the only one they trusted enough at my work to drive the one Corvette. Just saying, because somebody almost curbed the carbon fiber bumper on the curb, which that bumper cost more than my yearly salary.
That's it. 5.7 liter V8 motor with about 500 brake horsepower in one of those bad boys.
I'm going to probably not say her last name correct. Tony Breedinger. I'm gonna think that's how she is NASCAR's first. Come on, ad, go away. I don't like you very much. NASCAR's first Arab American female driver.
Heck yes.
That's awesome.
This is the thing. I mean,
she'll be driving in Daytona. It says so. That's super cool. Looks like there's a few females actually in NASCAR. Awesome. So Natalie Decker. Yeah, cool. Very cool.
There you go. Women can turn left just as well as the boys.
Absolutely.
But no, it's all good. So yeah, I've been watching Formula One since I was 6, and I've got my uncle to thank for that. He sat me down in front of the TV. It was 1992. Yes, because I'm old. And so we were watching Ayrton Senna possibly the greatest of all time, hold off Nigel Mansell, who was the British Lion. He had a big mustache. His mustache was the same size of his eyebrows. It was phenomenal. And yeah, so they were chasing each other down and they're not giving each other any quarter. They did not touch. They did not crash. It was amazing. I've been hooked ever since. So I fully endorse getting into motor racing, either as a fan. And it's one of these sports where you don't necessarily need to root for a single team or a single driver to win. So long as there's a decent race, then that can be enough. And I think that's one of the beauties of the sport.
That really is a big thing. And I think that's a lot of things with a lot of sports, as long as you can find the part that interests you the most. That's really what it is. And even I use this as an example a lot. I am a big fan of football. I love watching football. I love watching football with my brother. My brother does not live in the state anymore. Football is not nearly as much fun to watch because I don't have my brother here to watch it with me. I am thankful that we have the FCF now because I get to watch it with all you lovely folks. And it's
Go Wild Aces.
Go Wild Aces. I think it's the first time I've actually had fun watching football in a very long time because, like I said, I mean, I like football, don't get me wrong, and I was still watching football games, but I was watching football games with naps during the boring parts more often than not. But yeah, I mean, and it's the same with NASCAR. I enjoyed watching NASCAR with my friends. And then my friends moved away and I'm like, yeah, I'll watch a race every once in a while. But
absolutely. And I get that it's a time commitment as well. So most of these races for F1, they have a maximum time limit of 2 hours, but most of the time it's like 90 minutes kind of thing. But they are trialing some sprint races this year. So on a Saturday, they're going to do some shorter races to see if we can get some more engagement that way. Because we get that not everybody's available to give, 3 hours of the day with all the build up and everything to watch a full Grand Prix. But if we can get some sprint races together, get some new fans in, because that's going to be the next generation of fans who are going to grow up and aspire to be the next Lewis Hamilton, per se, kind of thing. So we are mixing around with the formula and getting some new fans in, doing some more amazing initiatives, and let's go racing.
I feel like F1 would probably be more exciting than NASCAR, though, to be completely honest. I think especially
the fewer crashes.
Yeah, there are fewer crashes. That is true, and I'll be honest. I think that's why most Americans watch NASCAR. But
but I will say, sorry to cut across. So the last episode of season 3, which is out 19th of March, I want to say, so sometime next week, is of Drive to Survive, covers one of the most horrific crashes I've ever seen in motorsport. So French driver by the name of Romain Grosjean, well, he's actually hop Swiss, but he raced under a French license. His car went into the barriers at Bahrain. His car split in two. He was on fire for around about 30 seconds.
Oh my God.
Oh crap.
He is fine. His hand, relatively fine. His hands obviously got burnt, but I have never seen such heroics from the marshals there, the medical crew who raced into the flames to go fetch poor Roman out. And for all of his trouble, he lost his F1 ride and is now racing an IndyCar. But it is a story of how safe Formula One is. Motorsport is inherently dangerous, but I would highly recommend checking out the final episode of Drive to Survive Season 3.
I definitely want to check it out.
Stunned silence.
That's just wild. Wow.
Yeah, but
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Do you have any questions for me?
I think Jesse had one question from the audience.
I do.
Yes.
So, from actually both myself and Kumail, do cars go vroom or do they go meow?
Why not both? Why not both? No, absolutely. Yes. So they go more vroom right now, but they used to go really, really loud and go the full as they go past. And if you were standing trackside, you would feel your whole soul shaking. It was that inspiring. But time change, and now we have quieter engines, and people who live next to race circuits, they complain a whole lot less with noise pollution and whatnot. But
that's fair.
Fair.
There we go.
Well, that is great. And I have had a blast today, and I hope you all did too. So I think that is where we're going to wrap it up because that seems like a good place to. So, Jesse, please tell the wonderful folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Pink Spider Felix on Twitter and very occasionally at twitch.tv/Flora Jessie.
Yay. And Fitz, what about you?
You can find me at Vitz Patel everywhere, so on Twitter and on Twitch.
Yay. And
Where can people find you?
You can find me at Ambelina on Twitter, and you can find me doing the OU pod with the boys and usually special guests. We're almost done with season 1 of New Girl. It's exciting, it's scary, and I'm so excited to do more crazy things, and it's gonna be fun. So also, as always, you can go support us on Patreon if you do feel so inclined, with tiers starting at $1 up to 10. If you don't want to, no big deal. We always have that subscribe button on YouTube, which we love when you push that because that makes us happy. Because, if we do get to 100, we might show that super secret thing that Ben and Albert want me to talk about. So I'm going to talk about it right now. And also, I told Ben that if we hit 100 subs that we could do merchandise. So make him happy and get us to 100 subs. We're almost there. Also, if you would be so kind, hit subscribe on the podcasty things and and leave reviews.
5 stars. Everybody 5 stars.
That makes us happy and it helps us a lot on here, on this one, and on the other one, if you don't mind, because I know they're 2 separate fees. But thank you so much for joining us. If you like this, let us know, because we're going to be doing more of these Let's Learns. And if you have a better name for it, that would be awesome too, because I hate calling it just Let's Learn, but that's okay. Anyways, until next time, keep it unofficial.